Biafra's got talent. We are letting Biafras know the reason why we should remember those who gave their lives for us, those who died that we may live.
You died to end my suffering. You died fighting for my freedom. Your blood is the shade of redemption. You are my inspiration.
Military shots on them. 7 to 70, we remember them. 2016, 38 May. Memories still deep in our mind till today. Wonder why they refuse to publicize the genocide. The world media turn blind eyes to our plight. It's time to arise. Land of the rising sun. Let's rise for a time. Let's rise.
Yo, we will never forget. Our fallen heroes. Those who give their life for us. Bonita Massacre. Bonita Massacre. Our Massacre. We remember you. We must fight together, no retreat, no surrender. We must hold them down till the end of time. The most important thing is that we will restore Biafra. And I say rest in peace.
And I look up to the sky with tears in my eyes. I'm a Biafra, for freedom and to die. We will never forget you. As the days go by, you are always in my heart.
They fought for our freedom. They died for our freedom. They fought the Nigerian soldiers in the war front without food, without guns, for our freedom, for our life, for our own food, for our children. We love them, our heroes. We want them.
My heart beats when I saw them sleep. Where will I be now if not they? They will remain indelible in my heart forever, 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 and never, and never, and never.
We serve in your plantation. And the way you paid us back, with your blood is salvation. We declare and anticipate that the death of our people is a mystery. No way back to get to a victory. I had a voice now call for vengeance. I never get one, I'm a full of vengeance.
Yo, we will never forget. Our fallen heroes. Those who give their life for us. Bonita Massacre. Bonita Massacre. Our Massacre. We remember you.
Yeah, I love you now. If not you, die Mali.
We can start to death because of our freedom and the pain we get for our freedom. For those that die, who be genocide, fighting for you and I. There is pain in my heart, I'm living inside, tears in the eyes, so I'm running here.
This is for my fallen heroes. Give them a motivation, people. It's like I'm looking at myself in the mirror. I should to be a us, I need to be a us. If we did not retire, yeah.
And we must stand to represent who we are. We respect that. What people, most commentators don't appreciate about Africa, and which most Africans debate slightly uncomfortable with, is that somebody coming from Europe and without regard for your culture, your traditions, your way of life, saying you are now in one country and your name is Nigeria. There is something unnatural about it. Yes. I said to the British government, if you had come, conquered my people, which is a natural human process, that is, so it's a very natural. Right? If you had come, conquered our people, make us English, I can live with that. Yeah. But to come and hand over the children of God over to something completely alien, this same culture that we have in the north, which is an Islamic culture, it's not about ransom. They just want to pass a message. We can come in, we can do what we need to do. And there are some hardliners in this government that are sponsoring this kind of narratives. They just want to show that they can Islamize this country. They think about Taliban, they think about the Mujahideens, and they want to replicate it in this country. And they don't care what happened. They simply don't care. As long as at the end of the day, there's Sharia and there is whatever thing they have in their head they want to achieve. So these people that are sending messages are sponsored by Nigerians. You remember this Boko Haram issue started since 2012. Yeah. And I was in the military intelligence that time. We arrested those people. It is my organization that actually conducts interrogation and interview. And they mention names. I mean, I can't come on air and start mentioning names of people that are presently in government and that I know. Presently in government. That the boys that we arrested mentioned. Some of them are governors now. Some of them are in the Senate. Some of them are in Asurok. The intention is to Islamize Nigeria and practice Sharia. And it doesn't matter if some people die. It doesn't matter if you're embarrassed. It doesn't matter if our economy has degenerated. Look at the interest rate. Look at the inflation rate. Look at the debt profile of Nigeria. They don't care. As long as at the end, the Quran is at the sea. So some people in this country have this mindset. And we must tell the truth. If you tell the truth, you die. If you don't tell it, you die. Some people have this mindset to Islamize the nation. And they are in the government. And people know them. The DSS know them. The NIA know them. The DIA knows them. Can't succeed without being an inside person. And this attack you saw has insiders collaboration. Nigeria, I do not believe it was created by God. I don't believe it. I believe that Elizabeth I got into a deal with the Ottomanian Empire. And they had a deal concerning the Sudan. And those who came to Bible. It's written by a fellow called, the name of the book is The Martyrdom of Man. As far as Africa was concerned, two empires got together and decided that this land would go to the sons of Israel. It's self-evident. But let's not go there. important. I have no problem with people of any faith being in charge, but they must adhere to the constitution of we the people. And when the constitution purports to be of we the people and it is not, it's some soldiers who wrote it, you have to question why we obey that constitution. Nigeria cannot be a solid nation that is properly grounded going towards her destiny. We started to go, but the Bible says, Psalm 11 verse 3, if the foundation is corrupted, if it is destroyed, what can the righteous do? To build a sustainable building, you have to build a solid foundation. You do a soil test, do your engineering statics, and you determine what will carry this building and make it last for a long time. There's a difference between any Jankara Jati road and the road that they built that takes you to Lagos Airport. That's a proper road. Why they build roads and resurface them wrongly, I don't know. Somebody suggested to me that it's that kind of road because they want the same contract next year. That means that somebody sitting down somewhere making decisions has no sense of equity and justice. Do you understand? I hope you get it. I'm riding. Are you ready to ride or die? Are you getting ready to ride all the way? Let's go. And we have two civilizations in this country. There was a colonial conquest coming from the Maghreb, the Sahel, and it was interrupted by another colonial conquest of the British. And the British are not, let me say it another way. Awolowo, Tafawa Balewa, Among the and as the Kingway, they are not the founding fathers of Nigeria, in my opinion. The founding fathers of Nigeria are some men from Whitehall and a fellow called Tom Goldman, his girlfriend, she named the country, and also Uganda. This nation was created for the business of the British purse, so they wouldn't have to bear the bill for the not as prosperous and wealthy part, unwealthy part of the country.
And of course, what is happening in Nigeria today regarding the situation in River State is like an Indian proverb that said that if somebody is sleeping, really sleeping, you can easily wake up that person. But if the person is pretending to sleep, you find it difficult to wake up that person. The key actors in Nigeria, from executive to the legislation, Lord Phillips, Senator Binta, and others are here, and the judiciary, they know the correct thing to do, but they are refusing to do it. They are pretending to sleep. And waking such a person is extremely difficult because the person knows the right, the clear abuse of offices, clear abuse of power, clear abuse of privileges, cutting across from the three arms of government, from the executive to the parliament to the judiciary. And I always plead with our people that whatever we do affects everybody. And sometimes we do things and we think that it doesn't affect us. I've been a president before, and even after leaving office as a former president, who get to me. Why is that our passport is not valued that much? Why is that Nigerians are not given the kind of treatment we're supposed to receive by the international airports? Sometimes we think it's because of Yahoo boys or 419. Not only them, they are part of the problem. But whatever happens in the country today will be good, especially relating to what is currently happening in the country regarding River State. As we gather here today, we are reminded that the pursuit of social change is a continuous journey, one that requires a collective effort, commitment, and perseverance. The theme of this curriculum is timely and relevant as we seek to address the present issue of our time, from inequality and bigotry to social injustice and marginalization. I believe that it is mark of good leadership and governance to be able to leverage the transformative power of diversity, equity, and inclusion for social change. As a leader, I have seen how these values can bring people together, foster a sense of belonging, and unlock the full potential of individuals and communities. And that's why till today I think I appointed more women into office than any other president because the issue of inclusivity is critical. However, I have also
there is nothing anybody can do. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. I need them to want to something which probably is not the point of no return. There is nothing anybody can do from my mind, from there, from wherever. You have to see them there. From Okita. For sure. You have to practice, but the problem is we're fighting along the back. So Biafra will become the 16th member country record. If Nigeria doesn't use property then the people come with them back. Even while dividing, if you had investments all over the world, most of the priceless artifacts and paintings belong to the family in Germany. So put about the magic house. You know that? Eventually the government will start. With compensation and so forth. That's what we're going to do. Because our investments will come back. And we know we can get it from. So there is nothing anyone to worry about. If you are not talking from being in Nigeria, if you are born on the streets of Lagos, you want to be an Egyptian and your name is Adama, oh, well, I'm good. No problem.
Demonstrate that you are ready to fight for your freedom, to defend ourselves any day, anytime. Nigerian terrorist government have come with a lot of propaganda. When you demonstrate that you are ready to fight for your freedom, they call you criminals, they call you terrorists, they call you all of things. The reason for that is to demoralize you. Now we must not forget that. My fellow Biafrans, I call on you this evening. Allow the end of the day demoralize you. Nigeria did to over 3 million Biafran children through starvation. Yet, all as at then, when the news 50 years later, after recounting the numbers of Biafrans that died, what should we have avoided? We are all here today for not just the revenge, but to finish what was started. And of course, the most important of it all is to destroy Nigeria, the Igbo Nigeria, to destroy it. Nigeria is a terrorist state. And after destroying it, we liberate our people through the process that has begun. The liberation of Biafra from Nigeria will restore peace, stability in our region. It will also end the assault of terrorists and piracy in the Gulf of Coast of Guinea, and of course beyond. The liberation of Biafra from Nigeria will restore peace and stability. Do not let the corrupt and criminal politicians to deceive you into believing supporting your own freedom is a crime, irrespective of our approach to restoring Biafra. I want to remind all of us, in 1776, the United States separated from the United Kingdom by declaration. Today, they are the world power. In 1830, Belgium separated from Netherlands. Today, they are one of the most powerful countries in Europe. Both of the countries. In 1965, Singapore separated from Malaysia. Today, they have transformed into global financial hub as a result of the separation. Why is it that when we call for separation, Nigeria and their criminals will be calling us terrorists? Don't fall for it. The past separation has led to the upsurge of economic development in the case of India and Pakistan, Norway, Denmark, Switzerland. Each of these separation has led to the upsurge of economic development. In 2002, East Timor separated from Indonesia. In In 1921, Ireland separated from the United Kingdom. Today, they are one of the powerful countries we have. In 1944, Iceland separated from Denmark, demonstrating that nations can part away without violence. Why do you kill Biafrans? Whatever we say, we are fed up of Nigeria. In Nigeria, where you have dangerous diversity, in Nigeria, where you have the northern part of Nigeria practicing Islamic State, practicing Islamic Sharia law, and they have different culture, different laws, different rules, different everything. And with that kind of mentality and setup, we can never develop as a nation. That is the reason we call for the separate state, of course, for independent state for Biafra. Apart from the killings, genocide against our people, and jihad. In 1905, Norway and Sweden separated and goes their separate ways. Today, they are one of the most powerful countries in Europe because of the separation. In 1947, India and Pakistan separated. The list can go on and on and on. And when they want to tell you about Africa, they use Sudan to give you an example. Biafra can never be Sudan. Biafrans are scattered all over the world. Their countries of residence, making impact, governance, and policy making. Sudan was never like that. Apart from that, we have a history. Democracy started from Biafra, and Nigeria continued to suppress us, enslave us, subjugate us into what we are today, destroying our sensibility and our sense of reasoning. Nigeria continued to enslave our people, enslave our future and our progress. Today, in the same Nigeria, where we have trying to rise through their business and enterprises, Nigeria's system destroyed. They destroy it in Lagos, they destroy it in Kanu, they destroy it in Kaduna, they destroy it in different parts of Nigeria. And in a system like that, it will all keep diminishing until they wipe us in the surface of the earth. The only way to preserve our culture, value system, and save our life from extinction is a complete separate state. Exit from Nigeria, which the process has begun. My fellow Biafrans, today we have given a very serious warning to those threatening Biafrans about the Nigeria protest. We have absolutely nothing to do with the Nigeria protest. We are Biafrans, we don't validate Nigeria. But if any Biafran is victimized for Nigeria protesting, we have assured them we will weaponize them.
Fight on, great boys, fight on! Heroes of our fatherland! Pursue the enemy, harass him, destroy the invader. March on, great boys, now that victory is in sight. March on and hasten the disintegration of the enemy already set in motion.
Fighting a war, knowing the difficulties, the consequences, there is an element of fairness people feeling well. If the world chooses to abandon us, then perhaps it is better we all perish. They don't ever consider a Biafra not free. They believe in either Biafra free or no Biafra at all. That means none of us living to see it.
I believe Biafra freedom. We Biafra believe Biafra freedom. For this, I decided, even to die, that Biafra was happy.
I want us to work systematically towards the establishment of a good, progressive, and democratic society where all vestiges of privilege and social injustice will be abolished, and the rich contribute more to the welfare of the poor. If civil war comes, and I do think it is imminent, you're quite right, it will for us be the cause for freedom. Our people here have for a long time been prepared for this eventuality, and I am confident of their readiness. I think that when it does come, it
the people on the other side will be surprised as to what they're going to get. And I'm confident that it will not last long.
Will surely come out as a nation because we're fighting a just cause. Even a little child on the street will tell you this now. We shall never go back to Nigeria again. God's grace will surely emerge as a nation. And so, as far as this war continues, we will fight to the last man.
This is what Biafra is, the end of the journey for a persecuted, massacred, pursued people. We have made all attempts at a democratic resolution of this crisis. I have offered open elections, plebiscite. I have offered just an open carte blanche suggestion to anybody who can find a democratic way of finding out the wishes of the people that can suggest it, and we will go for it.
I know that you go. Holy, 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 another say. Holy, 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 another say. This is the home of the Shylock, the merchant of Venice, who was a Jewish man. This is an object lesson to the Igbo fools and idiots who are building their palaces in Kanu, in Maiduguri, in Lagos, in Abuja, that this building here was built by a Hebrew, a Jewish man, Shylock, of the Shakespeare fame, merchant of Venice. This is his home. We are here in Padova. I'm Nnamdi, Kanu, of course, and these are our people that brought me to this place. We came Radio Biafra is in, we are here in Italy, Turin, Italy, and over there, all the houses you can see, we are built by Jews. Here, if you go there today, you will see no Jewish person there. It's all been taken from them. This is the home of the man that there was so much jealousy against this man in Europe that they decided to write. Shakespeare himself wrote the Merchant of Venice. If you look here, that is the canal. Right across where the cyclist is going is the canal that used to bring in his wares, his merchandise, all the way from the city of Venice that is just down the road from there. So what we're going to do is to attempt to go in. We are going to remind our people that it is necessary for our people to be prudent with their sense. This here, as I said, was built by one man alone. Inside was a huge expanse of property and woodland and everything, built by a Jewish man. But the Jewish man and the family are not yesterday. The same thing will happen to us who are stupid enough to see their houses in Lagos and in Abuja. Something will happen to you. This is gone. It's not in Israel. It's here in Venice. Between Padova there and Venice over there, you have this used by somebody that came and thought was the right thing. Now, it's taken over. Because it's government allowed it also the EU flag. It doesn't belong to you anymore, or the company. I do a talk about that
That was why when the British came, they saw the light in Biafra. Immediately they saw it. And they said, I have no history, as I told you. And I want everybody to go to Google again, because we are lecturing today, and type in the word Sambatron. I want to teach you something this very day that will shock even our enemies. Go to Google and you type in this word, please. Sambatyon. It's called Sambatyon. It's called the Sambatyon River.
I give them a praise. Sambaton River. Go and as I'm reading it, I want to read it this. Sambaton River. I told you everything I tell you is gospel from heaven. I don't add anything of mine. As I'm giving the message from heaven, I give it to you. Let people make up the Biafra people. The whole of Biafra. Forget all these other names. The whole of Biafra. The Igbo people. The house of God. And his nephews. Ephraim and Manasseh. Are you listening to me? There are the ancient Igbo, the ancient people who were there. The first wave of migrants came from Egypt. The second wave came from Samaria. Three. One came from Egypt, Sudan. Egypt, Sudan, Niger, Yoruba land, into Igbo land. First wave, the house of God. The house of Ephraim and Manasseh came to Egypt, came to Djibouti, went through the upper lands of Ethiopia, came into the Afar region of Ethiopia, proceeded to the Central African Republic we know today, into Cameroon, and into Biafra. The third and final wave that came. Great people never the land of Biafra. Three. And when I say that Biafrans are Israelites or Hebrew, not all of it. I've told you this before. Should there be no confusion? I want you to go and type in Sambaction. Some spell it S-A-M-B-A-T-I-O-N. S for sugar, A for apple, M for mother, B for Bravo, A for apple, T for Tango, I for India, O for Oscar, and N for November. You can find it Sambaction and read it. In the earliest literature, where do I begin? What is Sambaction? It is the mythical river. It is the mythical river. A river of stone. A river of stone that took Jews to every part of the world. There was a man that wrote many centuries ago. Many centuries ago. Unbelievable. This is shocking. Shocking. I'm telling you. The river Sambaction flowed beyond the rivers of Abyssinia. Remember when I told you about the Afar region and I told you about Biafra? Biafra, yes, and Biafra. This man is saying that the exact place that we located on the map as to how Biafra in it during the migration was where this very river was located. And these are Jewish scholars of note. Josephus, Pliny the Elder. These people we are writing in the ancient days. In ancient days. Even an Arabian, his name is Abraham Abulafia. And this same river was mentioned in 2 Kings as well in the Bible. The river that flowed beyond the rivers of Abyssinia. And where is Abyssinia? Is Ethiopia. If you go beyond Ethiopia, it becomes the kingdom of Biafra. It's here. I didn't write it. Everything we tell you is gospel. Everything we tell you is gospel. Absolute gospel. Some people don't understand, they don't use it very well. But here it is. Go and research it. Sambaction is an assignment. You read it. Then you will understand the miracle that Elohim is doing in our lives. You must understand. They say you have no history. I don't know that the British discovered something they never wanted anybody to see. They said your name is now Nigeria. It means gloomy, it means dark, it means evil. They say that the most credible account is that given by a Jewish writer and traveler. He's the most credible. His name is Eldad the Danite, you know, the tribe of Dan. In his letter to the Jews in Spain in the year 883 AD, he said, "Who are we? The children of light. The children of light." Something I want to play for you. There is something that I wish to play for you that the whole world may understand it. To know who we are. To know why we are studying for Biafra. To tell the so-called misguided, foolish elders that cannot see, that are not learned, to let them understand why we do what we do. They know nothing. That is why we are the way we are. They know nothing. I want to show you something. Listen. Listen.
This is a very...
No, that's gone. That's, oh my goodness, that's gone. I will try to play it from here. Listen.
That, we believe that there's a possibility that the international community can be brought to bear at the UN.
Listen.
Declaration of Human Rights. This is a very, very serious matter. There's something that
a white man,
not Nigerian. Although I think Dr. Boyd had bestowed upon me the honorary title of Nigerian man. And we had a conversation. It wasn't heated, but he acted like he was going to revoke my Nigerian man credentials.
Listen.
Causing my 13-year-old son, who was in the car with me, to be very distraught. He said, "Dad, you have to stay a Nigerian man." But talking about children, when I was a little boy, when I was 7 years old, growing up in the middle of nowhere, Florida, in a swamp, the closest town was 30 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that happened in the world that brought to bear to me that maybe things weren't always right, maybe things weren't always good, was it the Vietnam War.
Vietnam War?
I was in the South. It was correct adjustment. You were the warriors. It was the Biafra War.
Biafra. Listen.
We were very distinctly thinking, this just isn't right. This isn't right.
The British.
It is a great nation.
It's a great nation. Biafra.
And then later when I learned something most people don't know, that there is a plausible argument that democracy began in Igbo land.
Igbo land, a white man, democracy, the world knows today started in Igbo land. The whole world over. A white man, an American. An American. I don't know who has this clip. I want to post it on my page. Democracy started where in Igbo land. Now, you see the reason why I say that we are the oldest people of this earth. And if you don't have the grace of God, you cannot write. You cannot read and write. A white man doing research in America. This is why CNN will not carry our news. If you're wondering why BBC won't carry it, this is it. Because the white man understands what Biafra means. Blacks in Africa don't know. They don't know the purpose of God in their lives. They have no idea. You see, the Yoruba see Biafra as something bad to be fought. Let's fight it. They are fighting Biafra nations. This man did his written research and said what our ancestors were able to do 5,000 years ago. Now, today, we cannot do it. The first written constitution in the whole world. The first organized government in the world. There are two people that God controlled from heaven. The Israelites and those that he sent to Biafra land. Only two. The Israelites revolted and said, "Give us a king so we can be like other nations." and took them and gave them some. You know the funniest thing? The Igbo race never asked for a king. Instead, they named their children genius and gods. That is why if you come out in Biafra land in those days, I say Igbo as an example because they're the ones maintaining it. And you say to somebody you're a king, you tell you to go and be a king to your wife and your children. You raise Igbos and afraid. Now you understand that. Now you understand why I fight for Biafra. And I want my dear brethren to understand once Biafra is free, you also very free. You'll be very rich. I assure you. Because it's a blessing from God. Not mine. And this is what the British never wanted you to know. They don't want you to know this now. Because they want us to be saying it. And being a black man from Africa, if you're saying it, people won't believe you. The British saw this. That was why they said we must amalgamate them. They found Nnamdi when Nnamdi was a willing tool of the devil. And he agreed. Mazin Bono took one to say, I'll play it again. So, how special you are. I want you to understand how special. Some of you don't know when we fight for Biafra. This is the reason why. We are the oldest of the oldest, the very ancient. When I tell you that Igbo language is word that's speaking in heaven, you are doubting me. That is what they speak in heaven. The angels address God Almighty in Igbo language. This is the reason why the oldest civilization on this earth is Igbo language. The center of the whole world. Let's listen to this man once again. I'm excited about it. Listen.
They're great people.
Good.
A great nation.
Great nation.
There was a country.
That's a country.
And then later when I learned something most people don't know.
Most people don't know this.
There is a plausible argument that democracy began in Igbo land.
Democracy.
The very first written constitution on this planet was written by Igbo people.
The Igbo wrote the first constitution. But Europeans don't want the world to know. Because they are wondering, if that is the case, why did God put people in Africa? That's so backwards. And I'm saying to them, God sent us to Africa to bring life into Africa. That's our job. The HNEC in our villages, which means light. It's Nnamdi. It's everywhere you go. You now see who we are. The first written constitution. The first. Listen, I want to listen to this man more, please. Listen.
The very first democracy that involved self-governance.
Self-governance.
For everybody.
Autonomous
Not
community.
just the Greek wealthy, but everybody was in Igbo land.
Igbo land.
And the very first democracy that permitted women leaders.
The first thing, anywhere when America was saying give women the first, this is our mothers, so we are rulers. They rule the families. When women are talking in our culture, men don't come out. You don't dare come out. Can you say it? Can you hear who we are? When I hear all these fools in Abuja and Lagos, all these great rafts talking, I feel sorry for them. That is why we are harsh with any idiot that calls himself an elder who doesn't know history. What we are fighting for is to protect something that anybody will be envious of. This is who we are. And we started worshiping idol. Somebody will go to the farm and cut the wood. Or piano, you got an idol. You bow down before an idol. And God took away all the blessings he gave us. He said, "That was bad," and the results you got. That's why we're in a mess. God gave us 700 years to come out of it. We continued in idol worship. And he sent the British. The Arabs came, he said, "No, I don't want you to do it." He sent the British instead. Go and conquer them. And as you're conquering them, you're going with the Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament. If they are smart, God said, if they are smart, they will go to Old Testament and see who they are. And that was what we did. Oh my goodness. Let's listen.
Was in Igbo land.
Igbo land.
The West, Europe, we were still in the Dark Ages.
Europe was nothing. You see all these white men building aeroplanes and going to the moon, they were nothing. When Biafra land was bubbling, when the kingdom of Biafra was at its peak, with God Almighty in heaven as the untaking, Europe was nowhere. They were in Stone Ages. They were nothing.
And yet the Igbo had figured out a way to have a just and meaningful government, and a just and meaningful society, and due process, and fairness. And to this day, you see a great...
Listen, due process and fairness. These things are weaved into our idioms we have, our proverbs. This is a white man teaching me who you are. Fairness. Which is the foundation of our constitution. Fairness. I want the world to hear this. Biafra means fairness. You can never cheat anybody and get away with it. Never. The Biafra. Some idiots come up and they say they're elders. They know nothing. They are promoting one Nigeria.
I want you people to understand that the liberation of Biafra has entered the highest stage in the history of Biafra. Not even during the war. I am telling you, it has entered the highest stage ever. And we are going to do everything humanly possible in this life to restore Biafra. Everything humanly possible will be done. And I want you people to understand that the Biafra liberation is step by step, segment by segment, plan by plan, executions by execution. We're executing those plans according to the template till the last one. And Biafra.
Let us go talk about the objective of your struggle and how do you intend to achieve it in practical terms?
In practical terms, it is civil disobedience. The same way that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. accomplished civil rights in America, the same way that Mahatma Gandhi led India to the independence out of British colonial rule, the same principles we are applying, and might I add, very successfully too. We will do everything possible to unravel and unshackle the zoo called Nigeria. Everything humanly possible. No stone will be left unturned. We will sacrifice everything sacrificable. Material, life, Lord will throw into
And we will do everything humanly possible to see the Biafra exit. Because you understand what is going on better than any other person. He has been with me since the time he met me to this point.
Ali Beliriki. Mr. Kenya is the Secretary of the UPF Finland. Well, in the afternoon, I'm going to make an official speech, which will address the doctors. Just want to welcome every one of you to Finland. This is the man that everybody wants to crucify.
Last summer, the British government's policy of continuing to supply arms to the Nigerian federal government was attacked in demonstrations in Britain and abroad. In London, Biafran supporters clashed with the police in Trafalgar Square and Whitehall. Britain was branded with being an accomplice in genocide. At Basel in Switzerland, a British trade week was cancelled, and later in Bonn, Mr. Wilson, on an official visit, was mobbed by protesting students. The Biafran lobby in London was able to secure an emergency debate in both houses of Parliament. It ended in uproar. Mark Press reprinted the whole of the Nigerian debate in a booklet with added comments in the margin. Comments which drew parallels with Hitler, Himmler, and Stalin.
There were protests throughout Africa. Britain was seen as helping the Nigerian government to pursue a policy of genocide. The scandal also split opinion in Britain.
Should we stop sending arms to Nigeria, whether this would have any effect or not? Should we stop sending them now? You President.
To my mind, it's a very simple, and the answer is yes. The alternative is that which is proposed by people like Woodrow Wilson, an MP at the time today, to keep up with the Russians. This is morally absolutely intolerable. It's politically inept. Your policy is losing out. You're making a fool of ourselves throughout the world. The people are regarding this country as moral obloquy. Not this manifest, but the policy has failed.
If we don't supply arms to the Nigerian government, the Russians are going to go on doing it. The Russians have told the Nigerian government that whatever happens, they're going to see them through the victory. But is it wise that we should allow the whole of this vast area, the 52 million people in it, with more oil in it than Kuwait, to fall into the hands of the Russians? I mean, it's absolutely crazy.
The federal government won, helped by the British arms. With the resulting scandal,
the first country that gave recognition to Biafra was Tanzania. This was done on the 13th day of April 1968. At that time, Julius Nyerere was the president of Tanzania. This was Biafra's first recognition in 11 months since the commencement of hostilities, and the recognition meant so much to Ojukwu and to Biafra as a whole. So much of it was said on Radio Biafra and published in several newspapers across the continent. The statement of recognition was made public on behalf of the government of Tanzania by C.M. Gonja, then Tanzania's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs. This recognition was followed by public statements made by President Julius Nyerere himself in his justification of the decision of his government to formally recognize Biafra as an independent state. He stated amongst others as follows, quote, "What right have we, in the name of unity, to refuse to recognize the fact of Biafra? For years, the people of that state struggled to maintain unity with the other people in the Federation of Nigeria. Even after the pogroms of 1966, they tried to work out a new form of unity which would guarantee their safety. They have demonstrated by 10 months of bitter fighting that they have decided upon a new political organization and are willing to defend it. Tanzania has recognized the state of Israel and will continue to do so because its belief is that every person must have some place in the world where they are not liable to be rejected by their fellow citizens. But the Biafrans have now suffered the same kind of rejection within their state, the same thing that the Jews of Germany experienced. Fortunately, they already had a homeland. They have retreated to it for their own protection, and for the same reasons, after all other efforts had failed, they have declared it to be an independent state. We therefore recognize the state of Biafra as an independent sovereign entity and as a member of the Committee of Nations. Only by this act of recognition can we remain true to our conviction that the purpose of society and of all political organization is the service of man. End of quote. You can find this quote in the document titled Government of the United Republic of Tanzania, Case for Recognition of Biafra, New York, United Republic of Tanzania Mission to the United Nations, April 13, 1968. Ojukwu and the leaders of Biafra were excited about this endorsement from no less a person but Dr. Julius Nyerere, whose voice had become well known in domestic and international discussions on issues of governance in general and on the destiny of the African continent. Dr. Julius Nyerere received applause from Biafrans in Biafra and those in the diaspora. But the federal government of Nigeria was disappointed in Dr. Julius Nyerere and Tanzania for the endorsement of Biafra. Nigeria's military head of state, Yakubu Gowon, described the endorsement as ill-advised and reckless, and as his show of resentment, he immediately recalled Nigeria's ambassador to Tanzania and severed diplomatic ties with Tanzania. The war went on between Nigeria and Biafra, and for many months after the endorsement of Biafra by Tanzania, the war did not end, but Tanzania did not withdraw their support and endorsement of Biafra. The second country that gave recognition to Biafra was Gabon. This was announced on the 8th day of May 1968. In his public declaration of support for the independent state of Biafra, President Omar Bongo stated as follows at a press conference, quote, "We, the people of Gabon, hereby recognize Biafra. Biafra still exists. For those who don't believe, saying that Biafra is no more, for us, Biafra still exists as long as the negotiation is still ongoing. Because nothing proved to us that Biafra is finished. Why do we Gabonese recognize Biafra? Firstly, it is purely the goals of humanity. Secondly, because we know that the Nigerian Federation is a fraud and it reflects no basis. I will not tell you the history of Biafra here, but I will if necessary. But you just have to look back to 1900, to what Nigeria was, before coming back to 1906 to understand it. We Gabonese know that kind of federation. As Gabonese, we once belonged to a federation known as Federation of Old AF. We know that we are a Cinderella syndrome of this federation. For this, we know that the situation that is prevalent in Biafra is similar to the one we know, with the only difference of the genocide of Biafra, which they don't want to recognize and accept as it is. So for this experience, we the Gabonese hereby recognize Biafra. End of quote. The Nigerian government was displeased with President Omar Bongo, especially his choice of words, particularly his description of Nigeria as fraud. Nigeria took serious exception to it. Gabon went on to offer material support to the Biafran cause. When hunger became a serious killer in Biafra, Gabon allowed its airport in Libreville to serve as takeoff and landing point for aircraft that carried relief materials to Biafra. At that time, there was a blockade on the Nigerian airspace, and planes were not allowed to fly relief materials across the Nigerian airspace to Biafra. Gabon is not far from the bite of Biafra. Gabon is rich in oil and other mineral resources. It is possible that Gabon also gave financial support to Biafra. Up to the end of the war in January 1970, Gabon did not withdraw its support for Biafra. The third country that publicly declared support for Biafra was Ivory Coast, which was known at the time as Côte d'Ivoire. The recognition was made on the 14th day of May 1968. The recognition was made by the then president of the country, The first country that gave recognition to Biafra was Tanzania. This was done on the 13th day of April 1968. At that time, Julius Nyerere was the president of Tanzania. This was Biafra's first recognition in 11 months since the commencement of hostilities, and the recognition meant so much to Ojukwu and to Biafra as a whole. So much of it was said on Radio Biafra and published in several newspapers across the continent.
Last summer, the British government's policy of continuing to supply arms to the Nigerian federal government was attacked in demonstrations in Britain and abroad. In London, Biafran supporters clashed with the police in Trafalgar Square and Whitehall. Britain was branded with being an accomplice in genocide. At Basel in Switzerland, the British trade week was cancelled, and later in Bonn, Mr. Wilson, on an official visit, was mobbed by protesting students. The Biafran mob in London was able to secure an emergency debate in both Houses of Parliament. It ended in uproar. Mark Press reprinted the whole of the Nigerian debate in a booklet with added comments in the margin, comments which drew parallels with Hitler, Himmler, and Stalin.
There were protests throughout Africa. Britain was seen as helping the Nigerian government to pursue a policy of genocide. The scandal also split opinion in Britain.
Should we stop sending arms to Nigeria, whether this would have any effect or not? Should we stop sending them now? You President.
To my mind, it's a very simple, and the answer is yes. The alternative is proposed by people like Woodrow Wilde and Nnamdi at the time today to keep up with the Russians. This is morally absolutely intolerable. It's politically inept. Your policy is losing out. You're making a fool of ourselves throughout the world. The people regarding this country as moral obloquy. It's not cosmetic, but the policy has failed.
If we don't supply arms to the Nigerian government, the Russians are going to go on doing it. The Russians have told the Nigerian government that whatever happens, they're going to see them through to victory. But is it wise that we should allow the whole of this vast area, the 52 million people in it, with more oil in it than Kuwait, to fall into the hands of the Russians? I mean, it's absolutely crazy.
The federal government won, helped by the British arms. But the resulting scandal
position is dangerously close to a totalitarianism. Without strong dissent, accountability collapses and power becomes absolute. Sadly, Nigeria's opposition parties are today in a pitiable state of confusion, fragmentation, and self-inflicted decline. What used to be the main opposition platform, the People's Democratic Party,
is now barely standing. The new opposition that has emerged is the African Democratic Congress, ADC, is far from stable as the ambitions of the party's leading presidential hopefuls might pose a problem and could threaten to pull the coalition apart before it even finds its footing. Joining us on the show to discuss the state of opposition in Nigeria and the ADC membership drive is former Lagos governorship candidate and ADC chieftain, Badebo Rhodes Bible. Good morning, Mr. Badebo Rhodes Bible, Mr. JRB. Welcome to the morning show.
Thank you. Well, there's one saying, they say remove the log in your eyes first before you talk about the log in other people's eyes. Okay. ADC itself is confused. How the party is factionalized. You have the mark faction. You have another faction arguing over identity, and they have gone ahead to fix their own convention, their congress, which is different from the one fixed by the mark faction. One, which faction do you belong to? So I is ATC, standing on a moral high ground to talk about, the APC is attacking the opposition. The APC doesn't want the opposition. When the political parties themselves, not just ADC, other parties, Labour Party, PDP, and all the other ones, many of them we don't even know their names, but they are on the list. So how can you stand on a moral high ground and complain about how opposition parties are being monitored?
No, I think
start with ADC and the factionalization.
I think they're comparing apples and oranges. I feel that
I'm familiar with due respect. When people want to
what I was going to say was that ADC is not factionalized. Yes, there is a process by which new leadership came in, and yes, there are some people that are unhappy about that process, and they've gone to court. The idea that I've been in parties that have been factionalized, right? I mean, I was in the PDP before. I know the difference. Right now, we have a solid house. What you alluded to, which is the whole process by which our presidential candidates will emerge and all of that, is still cause for concern for most Nigerians because they are looking for that moments to come. So they now know, okay, we are following this party. But there's a process now with the new Electoral Act that says there's either direct primaries or consensus. And the people are going to determine, the members of the party are going to determine who that candidate will be. That is one potential, which is direct primary, which is why we are pushing the idea of registering on the party platform. Because once you are registered, you play a part in determining who the candidate for the presidential, Senate, House of Rep will be. So that is on that point. In relation to every other thing, I know that there have been court processes. There was a judgment that came out last week, and that process is ongoing. But it's not affecting anything in regards to how we're positioning the party and building the party to face the next elections.
Okay, all right. So tell us, how is the registration coming along? How many members do you currently have? I know there were issues around being able to meet the deadline for the e-registration of members. To what extent have you been able to, fix that challenge? And are people responsive at the moment? If you can tell us, how many members do you have in the ADC? And then very quickly, I'd like you to touch on, or just to respond, do you think the ADC would survive post your primaries, depending on who emerges as a presidential flag bearer? Because there are at least three major contenders that I can speak of: Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, and Chiwoke Amechi. And for some of them, there are supporters that are saying our candidate or no one. Are you concerned that this could definitely rattle the ADC post the primaries?
These are very loaded questions. Okay, let me start with the first question. We have about 2 million people registered now,
okay.
And we're pushing awareness, so you're going to see a lot of that. The website is adcregistration.ng. and it's free. You can go there, register. So there's a lot of awareness that has to come up across the entire country to push that. In relation to something that's of major concern, I'm not going to belittle it. The process by which a presidential candidate will emerge. And yes, you have a lot of supporters who are people that are passionately supporting. It's not because you're giving them money or you're buying their vote, they are passionately supporting. And as a party, we need to manage that. We need to manage those emotions with the practicality of politics. And this comes with the messaging, not just from the party itself, but also the leading candidates as well, to let people see the bigger picture. Because there's no point complaining about a reality in the country, and because your candidate does not win, you just threw the baby out of the bathwater. We must come together as a united opposition, because we saw what happened in last elections. So that is messaging that's going to happen with everybody all across the spectrum. And then your final question was about the e-registration.
Yes. To what extent have you been able?
It's a continuous process. So, there's a point for the Congress, there'll be a point for the primaries. At that point, the digital version of the registration will be printed and submitted to INEC. So it's not so much deadlines per se, it's for this particular moment, right? And obviously to contest for anything, you must be registered on the digital platform. But more than anything, I think the fact that direct primaries are a potential consideration, anybody that says they're candidate or nothing should register, right? And play a part in their candidate emerging. There's no point just twiddling your thumbs and waiting and saying the party, the delegates. No, now you are a delegate. So get involved, register, and play your part to determine which candidate from the top to the bottom ballot emerges.
Okay. A couple of things.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong. There are speculations that you took towards Peter Obi along with them, right? And the reason why you came was because Peter Obi came to the ABC. Peter Obi met with some obedience yesterday and said he's not sure that he might get this ticket. In the case when Peter Obi does not get this ticket, is it ADC over for you? Because that would have been somebody that will give you gusto within the ADC. That's one. So there's a strong possibility, like he said, he might not get the ticket, things might be, against him. In fact, he went further ahead to say that they don't even want him to be on the ballot, that's a target. He was speaking some obedience. Second point, the national, is it publicity director of your party, came out recently to say that there's a plot to be able to ensure that Nafiu Gombe gets recognized by INEC. And once that happens, all of you that tilt towards David Mark, Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, it's game over for you guys, because Nafiu Gombe can now go ahead to do a deal with maybe the APC, and they put in a weakened candidate, but not any of you. There are two scenarios. If these two scenarios play out, you're already locked in because of the electoral law. What's going to be your way out?
Okay, so first question, I joined the ADC in October last year, way before His Excellency Peter Obi joined the party. I'm a member of the ADC now, and this is the only opposition, as far as I'm concerned, currently in Nigeria. And my job is to build it to be as solid and as formidable as possible in Lagos, at least, and do my part on national level. Politics is local. How they're going to determine what happens at national level will be up to them. They have way more experience in the state than I do. But I'm in ADC. I'm not, as much as people like to think I jump from party to party, I put my work in to make sure that I've done everything possible within the party before one would even consider moving out. So I'm in the ADC, and the ADC is the party I'm going to use, the vehicle I'm going to build to face the next election.
So if the people gets
now that coming to this your second question.
Shut out, now that means you will not be on the ballot. And if in a scenario where the Peter Obi is not on the ballot, what becomes your vote?
I in the past 3 years, I've done a lot of work to build my own brand, to engage with people, to show leadership, and to be formidable in myself, and partnering with and working with the party and leaders in the party is something that will necessarily happen, but also one is bringing value to the table, and that is what I'm focused on building. That's the first part. The second part is, even if in a few Gombe becomes the chairman, does not mean that we are just going to sit back and just twiddle our thumbs. We are bona fide members of the party. It's not going to come from Abuja and control what's happening in Lagos. We must build a consensus and a strong party in Lagos to make sure that whatever happens, we are inevitable. So that's going to be the focus. It's not something that you just put somebody in top and everybody will just form a line. They're very, very formidable.
So you fight the field or you.
I'm not leaving ADC. If anybody comes in, they'll meet me there.
Okay, two quick things. The obedient movement, which is linked to your principal. I mean, what's his name? Akbata came here and said, okay, the trend is that you guys have followed Mr. Peter Obi because he's your main principal and he's gone to the ADC. But there is also that movement that is joined at the hip to Peter Obi. It's called the Obedient Movement. One Dr. Peter Agada has just resigned as the financial secretary also of the Obedient Movement because he says that the Obedient Movement is disorganized. He used the word lack of proper coordination. I don't know whether you can shed some light on that. And then secondly, in the spirit of Ramadan, President Tinubu has just gone to the UK. There are signs of deals. Some of the ministers are excited that they were there to, follow through on certain things. NITCOM, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Interior, all of them signing this and that. How they follow through, we see. But what's your assessment? Because the president will probably be in Lagos today for Ramadan. Maybe you are one of those persons who will go and visit him. I think people should go to their houses and celebrate Ramadan. They should not come and cause traffic around obstruction around Lagos. So you should go, please. They've done enough. We don't want any welcome. Those of you who didn't go to England,
to your first question, I think the problem that we might have faced in 2023 was having a movement that was not fully integrated with the party. And for me and for most people, even His Excellency Peter Obi, I've heard him say that it's about the movement coming fully and becoming one with the party, so that the structure in the party, they drive the structure in the party, and they have it creates a much more robust opposition. So while some people might say that in terms of lack of coordination as they would like, the idea is to drive in as many people that have this passion for a better Nigeria into the party, take up ward positions, take up positions within the party, have meetings in the party, and then that structure, because now it's not just the Labour Party, not just Obedience, you also have the PDP, who are more experienced politicians, but might not. There's passion, there's experience coming together, and that I think will create a much more robust opposition. In relation to the trip to England, the thing that jumps out at me is how the NSA and the Defence Boss was there, were in England sipping tea, most likely in Buckingham Palace or wherever, while bombs were going off in Igbo. I cannot reconcile that. And with the history of things and how things were before Donald Trump even started talking about safety and terrorism and Christian genocide, I cannot reconcile the insensitivity and the carelessness of this government. I remember they were talking about Goodluck Jonathan before they came in, how it was bring back our girls and all that. But look at what is happening. Yet I'm seeing people sipping tea in England. I think that is completely disgraceful. In relation to deals that they signed, international business, international trade is important for every country. But every country should also have its vision to make sure that they get the better end of the deal. I'm not quite sure that we got the better end of the deal if we're looking at, okay, you get a loan to repair your ports and then you have to buy steel from England, when we should think about how we can energize our own steel manufacturing. And this comes with vision and leadership and a bigger vision for productivity in the country, which unfortunately is lacking. It's not just about bringing money. What is the development impact on your country? And I think that's an important factor. It should not just be about headlines. The headlines, there's a lot more that drives development in the country.
Okay. What I'd like to hear, I don't know if you're aware of the ADC's alternative solution. I ask because ADC as an opposition party has been accused mainly of just criticism, releasing statements of displeasure. But when it comes to concrete plans and ideas as an alternative solution to some of the challenges, Nigerians have not been able to see it. Do you have a document at all? For instance, what's the ADC's position on the response to or fighting terrorism across Nigeria? Banditry, kidnapping, is there a solution? What is the ADC's plan for this development, economic development you talk about? What would you have done differently? Or what would the ADC do differently as a party, as an ideology, from what the current APC is doing in Nigeria? Because those are issues that...
So campaigns have not started.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to speak as a spokesperson of the ADC.
Okay.
And you also
you're chieftain of the ADC.
Yes, but then also leaders, every leader has their own manifesto. The party also is putting its own manifesto together, or has put a manifesto together, which is pro-people, which is about spending our commonwealth on human capacity development. People first. It's a very people-centric manifesto and ideology. And that is the foundation of everything.
So on insecurity, for instance, insecurity has been a challenge for a long time.
100%.
In other countries where you have a vibrant opposition, you have almost a person for each position. So there's a counter argument or an alternative solution from the opposition party. You see it in England, in the United Kingdom, across the country. So that's also, for instance, in security, you're already aware of the issues. Are there alternative solutions? What do you think the government should be doing better or could have done better in tackling insecurity from an ADC perspective?
Okay, so from an ADC perspective, let me first touch on something. In relation to, do you want to answer?
Okay, Rufai will ask. Let me just use this one here.
Okay, so...
Pardon? No, he raised his hand, so...
you had your own. You can take both.
Yes, I'll take both. Go ahead. Okay, so from an opposition idea of things where we compare to the UK, where they have shadow ministers and everything, that the government actually pays, right? The government pays them. It's their job to do this. There's no government paying opposition right now. We are spending our own money. But so I just want to highlight that. And maybe that's an idea of what needs to change in our politics, because we do need a robust opposition. So let's park that aside. Now, in relation to the ADC's position on security, I know for a fact in conversations that we've had and documents that I've read, that it's, first of all, it's about tackling corruption in the military, spending significant amounts of money, buying defense equipment that actually gets to our soldiers and our people on ground, treating our soldiers with honor and dignity. I was with some colonels in Abuja last week, and the colonels and people that are dying, they have not even told their families. They're not being buried with honors. There is no honor in it, right? So that needs to change. And then also we need a situation where, because there's been talk about there are people that are funding these terrorists. They will list these people. It has never been listed.
As we speak today,
yes, sir.
Which day is your party convention?
Well, the list has been released. I cannot tell I know the exact date right now, but it's going to release in this week. Because what we're focused now on is our registration.
That's what I'm saying. Your party is disorganized. There are 2 dates out there.
Yeah.
Now, few good be. I think has released the 3rd or 4th of April. Then there's the 10th of April. That's why I'm asking that question. So if a Lagos party chief of the ADC does not know the date of the party,
it's going to release this week. This week we're going to.
But there are 2 different dates out there.
Well, if Mafi Gombe is putting out a date.
No. Some other actual parties saying 10th, some are saying 3rd or 4th.
All of this is still tied to our registration process. And there's a number we want to get to. before we now set it definitely. But it's going to be one of these two, and it's going to be done this week. I'll show you.
Okay, that's fine. Well,
Yes,
we'll keep it watching brief
thank you.
on developments, not just on the ADC, but also all the other parties. It looks like the APC has already overtaken
You'll be very
everyone.
This is from Biafra's Got Talent. We are letting Biafras know the reason why we should remember those who gave their lives for us, those who died that we may live.
You died today, my suffering. You died fighting for our freedom. Your blood is the seed of redemption. You are my inspiration.
Military shots on them. 67 to 70, we remember that. 2016, 38 May. Memories still deep in our mind till today. Wonder why they refuse to publicize the genocide. The world media turn blind eyes to our plight. It's time to rise. Land of the rising sun. Let's rise one more time. Let's rise.
Yo, we will never forget. Our fallen heroes. Don't forget that light of us. Bonita Massacre. Abba Massacre. We remember you. All right. Remember when we tell you, say, I got that promise you something. We must fight together, no retreat, no surrender. We must hold them down till the end of time. The most important thing is that we will restore their trust. Let us all rest in peace.
And I look up to the sky with tears in my eyes. I'm under their frost, for freedom and to die. I will never forget you. After days go by, you are always in my heart. Forever. They fought for our freedom. They died for our freedom. They fought the Nigerian soldiers in the war front without food, without guns, for our freedom, for our life, for our own good, for our children. We love them, our heroes. We want them.
My heart beats when I saw them sleep. Where will I be now if not they? They will remain indelible in my heart forever, 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 and never, never, never.
We serve in your plantation. And the way you paid us back, with your bloody starvation. We playing and anticipate that the death of my people is a mystery. No way back to get to obliterate. I had a voice now call for vengeance. I never get one, I'm a fool of a vengeance.
Yo, we will never forget. Our fallen heroes. Don't forget that light of us. Bonita Massacre. Abba Massacre. We remember you. All right.
Yeah, I love you now. If not you, I am Mali.
You can start to dance because of our freedom and the pain we dealt for a freedom for those that died in the genocide, fighting for you and I. There is pain in my heart, I'm bleeding inside, tears in my eyes, so I'm gonna be.
This is for my fallen heroes. You can only patient people. It's like I'm looking at myself in the mirror. I should be a gas, I need to be a nurse. If we did not be
The ultimate
us. Yeah, you know what it is. We must be rich, and we must stand to represent who we are.